It's about 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, September 14th, 2023. And we're on the 5th cell of the 6th section, the last section. So 2 more moves. And I think tomorrow, because I'll be working in the evening, I'm just going to open it up, let them to the last part of the pasture. So we're down to the last move of this rotation that started on the 25th of August. 3 weeks. So a couple notes about this area. Number one, the goatweed here is pretty short in most places. And green grass, nice long green grass comparatively at least, is pretty good. Then I get over here to this section. We'll just walk a few feet here. You can see the grass is quite green here. That's a nice deep green instead of the yellow green. And I'm seeing some other things growing in the grass, different types of grass, you know. But over here, the goatweed almost disappears. And this, I'm 100% sure that this is a spot that I did not shred the goatweed. But last year, I don't think there was that much goatweed in this part of the pasture. So, but I'm 100% sure I did not shred it here. And part of the reason I didn't shred it is because the cows were here. I wanted to do it a little experiment to see what would happen if I didn't shred the goatweed. And also, I think this part didn't have much goatweed to begin with. Okay, what makes this part different than the previous sections? If you remember, the previous cells that I was at looked pretty bad. And I told you that around Thanksgiving last year, we got a lot of rain and they really tore up that part of the field. It was just mud. Well, this part of the field, they never did tear up. We always had grass here. And this was always a decent part of the pasture. So I think this is what you get in a drier year. I'm not going to say drought, because it really wasn't that serious of a drought, and I think the drought's over already. We did get to D1, but this is a drier year, and this is what you get if you leave grass behind. You know, not a lot of grass here I'm not going to write home and say, hey, I have the solution to the world hunger problem here, but you can see that it's quite a bit better than some of the previous areas. This, by the way, I think is western ragweed. And anything green that grows, I'm a supporter of. Because what it's doing is it's capturing the sunlight, combining with the water and the carbon dioxide. It's creating sugars. And those sugars are the source of all life. Like, there's nothing on planet Earth that doesn't use those sugars that are collected from photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. So this is the beginning of life. And even if I had nothing but ragweed, I would be thankful for it. It's much better than an empty patch of dirt or brown dead grass that's not doing anything. You want green. Green is the chlorophyll. That's the magic. So green is a good color. Doesn't matter where the green comes from. And the plants, they put stuff in the dirt. They put stuff in the soil. And least of all, well, not the least of which, is their roots. And roots are good, because when it rains, those roots will carry the water down to the bottom part of the soil, and they break up the soil, and all kinds of good things like that. You can see that there is some green grass here. Anyway, so this part of the pasture was never really that bad to begin with. I don't think I overgrazed this too badly last year. Let's move this over here. There's quite a bit of goatweed over here. So let's take a look at that. And I'm kind of teaching myself by observing what's happening when I do things. And unfortunately, the time scale is years. So you're talking about years of stuff. So over here, this is an empty spot of ground. I can almost guarantee you there was an anthill at one point. Almost. It looks like what an anthill would have looked like. The thing about the ants is they always move on. That's why they're so hard to kill. Because once it's apparent that they're not welcome, if you put chemicals down, they're just going to move. They're not going to stay there. They're not going to die. Now look at all this grass growing up out of this old anthill. I don't know what kind of grass that is. I don't even know if it is a grass. It could be some kind of like wild onion or something. You know, good luck identifying that. Maybe somebody knows what it is. They've seen it before. But I don't want the cow to nibble this too much. I want to leave plenty on the ground. But you can see that this may have been a spot where I unrolled a bale of hay 2 years ago too. I don't know. But it looks like to me this is where an anthill was at one point. Now we're in like the green goatweed that's above my knees, almost to my waist here. And this is probably the greenest part here. Let's look in the middle. What do you see? I see green grass. I see green grass everywhere. So I think the idea that goatweed chokes out your grass, I don't think that's a correct idea. I don't think it does. I think it actually helps the grass grow. I think the goatweed grows well where the grass grows well. There's some common factor. It could be just moisture in the soil. It could be nutrients in the soil or something else, right? But when I see goatweed, I'm not thinking my field's dead. Certainly, I'd rather see grass. But if I had to choose between brown dirt or goatweed and grass, I'm going to choose goatweed and grass. You know, obviously grass would be better than goatweed. But, you know, nature has a way. One of my commentators a while back said that my farm looks like theirs. They get a lot of goatweed. And they're in Texas. Yeah, I'm in Texas too. I'm in Northeast Texas. I'm over here in Hopkins County. If you're in my neck of the woods, you're probably getting the same weather I'm getting, the same rainfall and everything else. But yeah. So that's just kind of some observations here. This goatweed, by the way, does not look like it had a good life. It's just stalks. It just grew straight up. It barely made any branches. And they're just hanging on for life. They're barely getting enough water to survive. You know, they're just going to die. So the goatweed will die in the winter as the weather gets cooler. And by the time spring rolls around, the stalks will be brittle. And so as the cows just walk past it, they'll just break it. It'll fall over. You know, so I don't think it's going to interrupt the autumn grass or the spring grass. This is weird. There's a good goatweed plant among a dead goatweed plant. Wonders never cease. Wonders never cease. I got to reel in this wire. This is the old wire. What I did is I noticed that I had a watering point there that I didn't know I had. I couldn't find it last time. Well, I found it. So I took the post here and I moved it over there so I can mark it off with a wire so the cows don't walk on it, break it, and cause a leak. Anyway, that's just some observations about the goatweed. You know, today the weather, it got about 78 degrees. Humidity's kind of high. It felt nice. We got some rain in this morning. Not much rain since then. I think there might be a storm coming tonight. Might be. You can tell the goatweed here is not as tall as it used to be in other places. So, anyway, yeah, I'm pretty pleased. Just to emphasize this point here, this is not hay that I put out 2 years ago. This is spring grass that grew up and flourished and then fell over when the summer grass came. And it's providing ground cover. It's trapping moisture in that ground. It's providing a nice, you know, little environment where the seeds can sprout and grow and the grass can take over. Now, why the summer grass didn't take over that spot, I'm not entirely certain. But there's the other spot I showed you already. This one looks like an anthill, though. It doesn't look like it has as much grass. So in the springtime, I don't think it was as tall. But I do recall seeing in this part of the pasture two big, like grass that was up to my waist from the springtime. This might be part of that. You know, you can see the grass is left over. It's fallen over. So anyway. All right, guys. Just some observations that I'm looking at here. Lots of grasshoppers, but not as many as last year. And they seem to be munching on the goatweed, not the grass. At least not the living grass. So, and the cows are having a hard time finding a lot of food. You know, you can see this calf is just nibbling at that little tuft of grass for a few bites. So they're struggling, but they have enough fat on their shoulders. They should be fine. You know, they should be fine. They're probably not happy with me, but they're not mooing. So the fly count is a lot lower than it was last year too. So despite the flies that you can see, there's far fewer than there were last year. And the condition of my cows is great. The longhorns, not so much. But I don't really have many complaints. You know, if I had more grass, what would eat it? I don't have any more animals that could eat grass. You know, so this is pretty good. This is what I need. All right, guys, you have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.